Welcome to Mind the Major, where I say use your mind, don't lose your mind, don't get left behind, become a mind. Today, people, I wanted to come and share some knowledge in reference to the Derek Chauvin trial and this third degree murder charge that they're reinstating. Okay, first of all, I'd like for you guys to do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, press the bell and hit all for all future notifications. Now, without that out the way, okay, them putting this third degree murder back on the table. Me, myself, I think that this could have a backfiring, let's say, I think it could backfire. I think that it could actually complicate the matter as far as the jury goes, as far as their deliberating process, because it's an uncommon charge, okay? There's only 3 states that acknowledge third degree murder. And those states are actually Florida, Pennsylvania, and Minnesota. Okay, so with a charge like that that's very uncommon, it could be hard for a juror to actually figure out exactly should they convict on the second degree or the third degree. Now, why would they place this third degree on the table? For those that may not remember, when Derek Chauvin was initially charged, he was charged with third degree murder. And myself, like a whole bunch of other people, were baffled. Like, what the heck is third degree murder? I've never heard of there's no such thing. But once I investigated, I found out that it was, but it was uncommonly used. So, with that being said, the third degree murder carries a maximum of 25 years. And I personally think that they put the third degree murder back on the table because they successfully convicted a former police officer back in 2019 by the name of Muhammad Noor. He was convicted, was that June 2019, for the murder of Justine Damon, July 15th, 2017. Okay? Now, some might say, well, it carries up to 25 years. Well, if they find him guilty of third degree murder, then that's something. He could get up to 25 years. Here's the problem with that. At this very moment, Mr. Muhammad Noor is actually appealing his third degree murder to the Supreme Court. And his case will be heard June of this year. Okay? Now, you say, well, what that got to do with Derek Chauvin? Here's what it has to do with Derek Chauvin. If Muhammad Noor is successful with having his third degree murder conviction overturned, then it would be more than certain that Derek Chauvin would be granted an appeal on a third degree murder and would most likely have his overturned as well. Okay, now you say, well, okay, well, if they overturn it, they can retry him. But here's the thing. A lot of times when cases are overturned or whatever, what happens is the state, like most of the time, would actually go to the defendant or the defendant's lawyer or whatever and actually offer a plea. Whereas though hoping that the person would take a plea, whereas though they wouldn't have to actually spend the money to go through another trial. Okay? Now, with that being said, Muhammad Noor, he's been locked up since. He got convicted in June of 2019 and was sentenced to 12 and a half years. Okay, well, he got approximately 2 years in, or will have 2 years in at that time. And I can assure you, if he was to actually have his conviction overturned, that he would more than likely be a free man. I'm more than sure the state would go to him and offer him a plea, whereas though they would, whatever time he got in, it would be more like a time served, and he would probably have a gang of probation or whatever, or maybe whatever remaining time that he had that they would elect to give him could be spent on house arrest or something like that. I'm more than certain, because he only had 12 and a half years. But with Chauvin, this is where the whole problem that I have with it. I don't know whether or not they reinstated that third-degree murder, because it's not like the state isn't aware of Noor appealing his case and having his case about to be heard. So I don't know whether or not no one, you know what I mean, understood why they was charging him with third-degree murder initially. But for them to put it back on the table, knowing that Noor is about to have his case heard by the Supreme Court, it seems kind of odd to me. Okay? Me, myself, I think it could be police work with the state, you know, all the time. So when you have officers or whatever being tried or whatever, the state really doesn't want to prosecute a police officer. They really don't. You know what I mean? But in this case, the Minneapolis has already settled the federal lawsuit with the family for $27 million.
Cash money.
Which is the largest pretrial settlement ever. Ever. You understand what I'm saying? So they already paid the family. You know, they could be thinking, well, we already paid y'all, so y'all got y'all money, so y'all should be good or whatever. Let us do us, and we're going to help out our own. Could this be what's happening? Once again, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Bell for all press all for all future notifications. But like I say, the 27 million, they could be looking at it like, okay, it happened. Here was some money. Let us do us. Whatever. Like I say, the second degree murder, he's facing 40 years, up to 40 years for second degree. You know good and well they don't want to give him 40 years. They don't want him convicted of second degree murder. You know what I mean? They don't really want that. The third degree, even though it carries up to 25 years, they say if he was found guilty of the third degree murder, that he would be likely to receive anywhere between 11 and 15 years. So just take into account, he's given 15 years, right? And it takes him, and say Noor is actually successful with having his conviction overturned. Okay, it might take Chauvin's team a year, let's say 2 at the most, to get him in the Supreme Court, to have his case heard. And he's successful at having his conviction overturned on the 3rd degree. Okay, now, what do you think would happen with a 15-year sentence and you already got 2 years on it? You know what I mean? Well, actually, you would have more than that on it. By the time, if he had to wait 2 years for the appeal process, he would have around three and a half years. You know what I mean? So 3.5 years in on, let's say, 15. I'm not sure how that thing is set up far as how much time you would have to do before being eligible for parole or whatever. But I guarantee you, if he was to actually have it overturned, it would be the same way. They would be probably offering him 5 years. Knocking that 15 down to 5 would be the plea agreement that they would be offering him. You know what I mean? In exchange for not having them to bring him back in front of a jury. You know what I mean? To waste the taxpayers' money. So the whole 3rd degree murder thing, I don't know. Like I said, it could just confuse the jurors to the point where as though they end up with a hung jury because they can't decide between the 2nd and the 3rd degree. You know, they just merely can't decide. The 2nd degree manslaughter, I don't even know why they went with the 2nd degree. It's like they just, all of these lesser charges. You know what I mean? Which proves that they're not really interested in actually sending Chauvin to jail, to prison rather. You know what I mean? I don't know if people see things the way I see them, but if you don't tap into yourself and become a mind, you know what I mean? But I want to, before I get up out of here, I just wanted to break the, far as me or whatever, 27 million, they say the family actually accepted this. You know, it was an offer, the family accepted it. If it was me, I don't think I would have wanted to accept it. I think I would have waited until after the trial. You know, I wouldn't want to deal with a lawsuit until after the trial. Because if they're offering 27 million, if he's found guilty of anything, and had they waited or whatever, and had to go in front of a judge or whatever, they would have been, I'm more than certain, they would have been awarded nothing less than 100 million. 27 million, once you do the breakdown and everything, the law firm gets their standard 1/3, which in this case would be 9 million. And then you have to pay cost of any, you know what I mean, different fees or whatever. So you just say 10 million, which leaves 17 million for the family at this time. And then you factor in taxes, this, that, and the third. The family would be lucky if they actually ended up with a little over 10 million, you know what I mean, out of this $27 million settlement.
I ain't trying to make nobody laugh or nothing.
Come to think of it, hey Ben, you holding the bag, baby. Why don't you let me hold something. Till the next time, y'all. Great minds think alike. Everybody has greatness in them. You never know when somebody's going to come along and pull that greatness up out of you. So till the next time, don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, share. It's your boy C Major. 2 in the air.